What's up everyone, it's DarkSpyro here, and today I've got another Buster Blader profile for you, and this is also a Dragoon turbo deck. So if you like this video, let me know down in the comment section below, and of course if you really like this video, smash that thumbs up button and hit that subscribe button to follow along for future videos that come out in the future. So with all of that out of the way, let's just dive on into this deck profile. Now let's just start this off with the heart and soul of the deck, and you can't play Dragoon Turbo without the Red Eyes engine, of course, and we have 2 copies of Red Eyes Black Dragon to start it off, and we have not just 1, but 2 copies of Dark Magician. I like maxing out on Allure of Darkness, and I like playing Destruction Swordsman Fusion as well, and Dark Paladin to go with it. So it doesn't really hurt me to have 2 copies of Dark Magician, and it's well worth having that brick in hand. Like I said, for Allure of Darkness, you mind game your opponent a little. They think you can't play Red Eyes Fusion anymore, but you have another copy, so you're all good to go. Moving on into the next part of our Red Eyes engine, we have 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 1 Red Eyes Wyvern, 1 Gearfried the Red Eyes Iron Knight, and we have 1 Red Eyes Baby Dragon. So you can play around with these ratios, but I like having it just the way this is. I don't want to play too many cards. This is a 45 card deck, so it turbos out Dragoon really good, and you know, setting Red Eyes Baby Dragon is also really good once you activate Red Eyes Fusion, only because if you activate Red Eyes Fusion, you cannot normal or special during that turn. And the last part of the Red Eyes engine is the babies. We're playing 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon and 1 copy of the Blackstone Legend. I feel this is pretty self-explanatory, and I'm trying to keep this as close to pure as possible. So without LP or Pisty or any of the Guard Dragon's help, we do not have easy access to Black Metal Dragon, and it's a very good card to equip onto, you know, Slash Dragon or Gearfried the Red Eyes Iron Knight. The Blackstone Legend is just a good toolbox card for this deck, so I would play a second copy, but I don't want to actually see it too often in my hand, so this is a nice little ratio here. Moving right along into the Buster Blader core, we got 3 copies of the Madman himself, Buster Blader, and we got 1 copy of the Retrain. I see a lot more people picking up this deck, and it makes me happy, but everyone keeps playing 2 and 2, and they're saying that you really do need 2. I'm telling you right now, you don't. It is personal preference, and they're saying you need it as a target for Prologue. Not true. As long as you have at least 1 retrain target for either Buster Whelp or Protector Whelp, you're usually good. Otherwise, it's nice to have a hard copy of Buster Blader in hand for Destruction Swordsman Fusion, because the retrain is only counted as Buster Blader engraven on the field, so you gotta be careful with that. And best for last, we have our triple copies of Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman, our obvious key searcher here for the Destruction Sword side. This gets you a Prologue, this gets you another Buster Blader Retrain, pretty much anything that you're missing, including 1 copy of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. I decided to cut it down just to make this deck run a little bit smoother, but that's it for all the monsters in the deck. Moving on into the spells, we have our triple copies of Red Eyes Fusion, so you don't actually have to play 3, you can play just 1 like I was mentioning earlier if you want to just do the 1-in-1 package, but I'm trying to max out on seeing this as much as possible, so I'm also playing 3 copies of Red Eyes Insight just to help me find it even faster. So this in tandem with Prologue or Trap Trick is my 2-card combo where you're going to lock down your opponent and they're probably going to scoop, so you want to see these as much as possible. For the draw power in this deck, we're only playing 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, and I say only, but we could easily get away with just 2. If you don't want to play triple copies like this and you only want to play 2, then for sure go ahead. I don't mind banishing, like I said, a copy of Dark Magician or Red Eyes Black Dragon to mind game my opponent. Helps me dig through my deck faster to find my 2-card combo, so triple Allure of Darkness. And the last cards here are all 1-ups, so I'll show you them all together. We got 1 Magical Eyes Fusion. This helps us go into either Paladin or Dragoon, obviously. We got Destruction Swordsman Fusion. So both of these are targets for Predaplant, Verte, and Akana, which is very cool, because then you could just, you know, discard a card, add Destruction Swordsman Fusion back to your hand. This is also good for bringing out Paladin and super polying your opponent away for the Buster Blader Fusion. Like I mentioned, you can discard a card to add this card back to your hand. That's actually very useful for unbricking your hand, or say setting it up for protection with a card like this, Return of the Dragon Lords. We're only playing 1 copy in this deck, I don't want to see it too often, but with how many insights we have, if we have Buster Whelp and you know, Red Eye's Insight and a copy of Return of the Dragon Lords, we're still going to reach Dragoon and Prologue. The final card here is just to kind of hope that our Red Eye's Fusion goes through, like, for sure if we get ashed. So they ash, you call by the grave them, and your Dragoon should still come out, and they're probably going to cry. That's it for all the spell cards. Now for the final portion of our deck, the trap cards, and we're playing triple copies of Trap Trick. Like I mentioned for Red Eye's Fusion, Trap Trick is here like Insight is for Red Eye's Fusion. This is our support to help pull out Prologue a lot faster, just in case we can't go into Whelp. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Triple copies of the Win button. Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman, I've said over and over again for over a year now since I've come back. This card is busted. Beyond broken. And if you have at least one Dragon Engrave, which Insight or Red Eye's Fusion provide for you, you're gonna go full combo. And obviously to complete that combo you need Destruction Swordsman memories to pitch off of Prologue alongside of a Buster Blader. And if you have a dragon there already, you banish Buster Blader memories and said dragon, bring out the Buster Blader Fusion, Prologue brings out the Synchro. So the combo is absolutely broken, just having 3 monsters on the field, and if you get Dragon Buster equipped on top of that, yeah, that's just overkill. It's game. And for the only real hand traps in this deck, we got 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence. So I know this card's pretty expensive, so you don't really need to play it, or if you have 3, you can play 3 of this. It's actually really nice at 3. But my personal opinion, it's a nice Trap Trick target, and if you have one in hand, of course it doesn't hurt. And to absolutely overkill your opponent, if they do clear your Dragoon, you can just bring it back with Red Eye's Spirit, and I'm playing 2 copies of this so that you can just bring one of these out on Trap Trick at any time, and then just bring back Dragoon whenever you please. Having these stacked with Wyvern is nice, so I only played 2 copies of Dark Dragoon, which you're going to find out here in a moment. Because the last Red Eyes card is Red Eyes Fangwood Chain. This card is here mostly just for Gearfried and Slash Dragon, but it's not too bad overall just to interrupt your opponent or even get 2 attacks on any of your Red Eyes monsters, aside from Dragoon because you can't target it. But that's it for the main deck. Let's move on into the extra deck. To finish this profile, we have our extra deck, and I'm going to start off with the Fusion monsters. This being a Dragoon Turbo deck, obviously, I'm going to kick this off with Dragoon, and we only have 2 copies of Dragoon. Like I said, there's lots of way to recur him, and he's a very expensive card, so if you only have 1, then don't worry, it kind of works still, but 2 copies is obviously the most optimal for this. And the last target for Red Eye's Fusion is Red Eye Slash Dragon. So I have Meteor Black Comet Dragon in the side deck as well, and I have a couple of copies of Inferno Fire Blast in there. So that's a good way to close up like a game 3 situation if you think your opponent's going to slow play you. It's just a good way to secure a win on your opponent by FTKing them with burn damage. And the last 3 fusion monsters are 2 copies of Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. It's pretty obvious why he's here. This is our end game alongside Dragoon. And because we are playing multiple copies of Dark Magician, like I said before, we're running Dark Paladin. So you might not go into Dark Paladin as often as you might hope for, but when you do, he's usually an FTK, and he has a not once per turn spell negation. You can also bring him out with Magicalized Fusion using Buster Blader, Dark Magician in the graveyard or on the field, so he's actually not too tough to bring out in this deck. Just, like I said, not super frequent, kind of like Slash Dragon. Moving on into the Synchro monsters for this deck, we're only playing 2 copies of Buster Dragon, and that's it. So you can do the Halki Fibrax trick that I've been talking about for a long time now with shooting Riser Dragon. But I actually threw that in the side deck because people are starting to expect it now. And I have another little surprise here. I'm playing 2 Xyz monsters again. That's right, we got Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon back in the extra deck. It's not like you're going to be 2-card comboing into this guy every first turn. It's really nice when you have a Slash Dragon and a Buster Blader on field or anything like that, and you just go into a free Flare Metal. I'm going to be honest with you though, you do not need to play these cards. You can play the Halki Fibrax and Shooting Riser trick if you wish, but then you might want to swap around the Link monsters, which I'm going to show you next. For our lone Link 1, we're playing 1 Link Kribo, and this guy is pretty self-explanatory, but I also like that he has a quick effect from Grave, so that if you have a level 1 on the field, you could just get rid of it and put him out there. If you have a Slash that goes down, has a Black Metal Dragon equipped, Black Metal Dragon will get special summoned, and then you can just get rid of it with Link Kribo and have some protection and draw a card. So being able to draw twice on Black Metal Dragon just because Linkuriboh is in the grave is actually pretty cool, and it comes up a bunch of times, so one Linkuriboh. And for obvious reasons, we're playing Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda. I personally think this card should be banned, because this deck would not be that great without Verte. If you just hard activate Red Eyes Fusion and it gets negated, most of the time your turn's interrupted unless you were fortunate enough to have insight to pitch a dragon and then have Prologue or Trap Trick set. Verte allows you to go into pretty much any combo you desire and end off on this card, then have Dragoon out on the board no matter what. And since we're not playing the Needle Fiber trick, we are playing one copy of Protector Whelp for our last Link 2. He helps us bring out our Buster Blader from hand pretty easily, and if you have, let's say, Destruction Swordsman Fusion Engrave, like I showed this combo before, you can pitch a brick at it, and then discard that card again for Buster Whelp, and then you can special summon that, go into Buster Dragon, re-special Buster Blader. The combo is pretty crazy, just because of this one card. It's one of the best Buster Blader cards in my opinion. It's super slept on. To help clear up the Link monsters, instead of going into BLS, I'm going into Triple Burst just for this deck. So with Triple Burst here, that kind of gives it away. I also have a Pisty in the side deck with some World Legacy card dragons. So if you really need to turbo out these Flare Metals, it's actually not that hard. But it comes up a bunch where you have like 3 monsters on the field, or 2+, and you just go into Triple Burst, and then him plus any other Dark Dragon, you can go into Darkness Metal. That being said, the very last card in the extra deck is Darkness Metal, the Dragon of Dark Steel. Now, just because we're not playing a bunch of things like Malefic that banish Red Eyes, we actually banish Buster Blader with Memories, and using Darkness Metal, you can bring back that Buster Blader, who is a level 7 by the way, and you can still achieve the Flare Metal combo that way. It's obviously nowhere near as consistent as it used to be with the Guard Dragons, but making this a Dragoon Turbo deck kind of flipped the scale on it, so there's so many different ways to play Dragoon Turbo, but this was just a more pure Red Eyes version, obviously. You can do so many different things with extenders. You can play Ash, you can play Phantasme, you can throw the Mono Dragon Zernatron in here, but that's in my side deck for Meteor Black Comet Dragon, obviously. And that's it for the extra deck and for this profile. That's just about it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you really enjoyed it, consider sticking around and smashing that subscribe button. And if you have any suggestions for any other deck profiles featuring Buster Blader, you can always let me know down in the comment section below. I try to read and react to all of them. So as always, everybody, I hope you all have a wonderful day.